Another dub screw. Another little dub. Feeling good, man. You know, not trying to get too emotional when I do win. I'm just having a good time, you know. Life is good. I'm feeling good these days, although I am a bit sick, as you can probably still hear by my voice. But the weather's been beautiful recently. And yeah, man, I'm just having a good time in general these days. Listening to some music, making my thumbnails. Anyway, enough about that. Let's dive into the charts here. So today was a decent day for me, but price action was absolutely poo. Price action has been relatively tough recently. I know yesterday was solid. The day before that was pretty crap. Today was crap. Although we did manage to wiggle out a mischievous little trade, which I probably shouldn't have done considering how crap the conditions were. Anyway, I'll get into that. So going into the day, I was looking at the higher time frame. So we have the 4-hour time frame here. I noticed that we were holding this mitigation block from yesterday. We sort of dipped down to this 4-hour. So that was somewhat bullish. And then I hopped onto the 1 hour and I noticed that we had this 1 hour gap that was sort of supporting price. So as you can see, we were holding it during Asia session and we came back, dipped back into it. So I was looking to see how price was going to react out of this gap. So we dip into it, we sweep this low here, and then we start to reverse, as you can see there. So let's hop onto the 1 here, and I'll sort of get more in depth at what I was looking at. So again, this is the 1 hour block, or the 1 hour fair value gap. We sweep liquidity, which I have marked up there. And on top of that, we had some pretty nice targets on the 1 minute. So we had relative equal highs here, and we had data highs here. So these were untapped. As you can see, price never came back and tapped these data highs. And for those of you that don't know what data highs are, all it is a red folder news event. That's when it leaves behind a very big wick and the wick goes unfilled. So we never take that high, which is always a great target. So 2 great targets up above. And as you can see, we just start chopping around like crazy, man. Like at this point, I'm not really looking to take any of these setups because there really isn't any setups, to be honest with you. So I just decided to relax. Wasn't really trying to force anything. Just went downstairs, made a nice little brekkie for the kid. And then I checked my phone while I was eating some nice turkey bacon and saw this bad boy right here. And again, this setup looks clean, but you need to take into account what price action is doing before this setup occurs. So price is still very choppy. So just because a setup looks good doesn't mean it's all of a sudden going to work if the past hour has been super choppy, which is why I say I could have very easily just sat on my hands today. But this was the cleanest fair value gap we got all day, and I was willing to take a stab at this. I've been doing decent on my challenge and was willing to roll the dice on this setup because it did look okay. However, I wasn't really willing to hold this for very long. So I entered about right here. Stop, I was just sort of playing by ear. I was just going to see how price reacted. Luckily, it went in our favor. The RR on this wasn't that great, probably about a 1-to-1. So again, not the cleanest setup, but as soon as we closed, let me go into replay mode here. No, that's not replay, bar select. So as soon as we closed above this gap, I decided to hop in long, put my buy in here, 1 contract. And another thing I liked about this trade, well, first of all, we had the great liquidity pools above, but we also had a liquidity sweep. We were holding that 1 hour fair value gap still, and we had a lot of displacement up above through this fair value gap, inversing it. So I entered long, and I took my position off right here, sweeping these highs. For a split second, I was thinking about trying to hold to these data highs, trying to hold to these equal highs, one of the two. But price action was just so sloppy. It was search and destroy conditions, and I realized that. And I realized it would have been a little greedy for me to try to hold this thing to the data highs or the equal highs. So I was willing to take my smaller win on the day, considering how shite the price action was. And as soon as I hit take profit there, I just turned my computer off and walked away because I knew that price action was most likely going to continue to chop around, and that's exactly what we did. So we just kept dancing around, search and destroy, taking highs, taking lows, and reversing. And this would have been a nightmare to try to navigate, man. I was happy with my small win on the day. Again, I probably should have sat on my hands, but I was willing to roll the dice on this setup. It was the cleanest setup I saw all morning, and it worked out. But there's no point staying on the charts trying to navigate this absolute poo, just because another hour of this I probably would have been smacking my head off my desk. Not actually, but this is just very frustrating to try to trade in, very frustrating conditions. So I was willing to take my little win on the day and walk away, man. So that was it. That is sort of the breakdown on today. We still have these untapped data highs above. We still have these equal highs. So who knows? The afternoon session might be a little bit cleaner. We'll see. I'm not going to be trading it, but I might watch it just for fun. So who knows? We might reverse and end up taking those highs, which I think is very possible. But I'm not willing to sit and wait for that to happen. I would much rather just wait for tomorrow, wait for cleaner price action, and that's basically it. So that's a sum up on the day. Happy with that win, but just as easily could have sat on my hands and would have been just as happy if I didn't trade considering these conditions. I know a lot of people got chewed up. I know I would have got chewed up in the past and shit like this. So again, we're just building that discipline, building that patience, and I'm happy to take the one trade for the day and hop off. So that's it.